Sea of Thieves and a Pirates of the Caribbean crossover is a crossover made in heaven.
All you think you know about your life and death is only the beginning. With your heart still beating, you will see those cursed shores with new eyes.
It almost feels like, what took you guys so long? What a freaking cool thing. And it was announced recently at, E3. Heavy air quotes, because it wasn't E3? Who even knows anymore? It was announced, and then like a week later, suddenly you can play it. A free content update. A free-to-play Pirates of the Caribbean adventure. Sea of Thieves, A Pirate's Life is like the coolest thing to happen to Sea of Thieves. I'm going to give my impressions in a spoiler-free manner. Obviously, I'm going to show a lot of different footage of the different sections, so if you want to be like completely clean, probably just stop here and go play it. If you're interested at all, just go play it. It's awesome. It's many hours of content. Bring a friend. Super great. But if you want to hear my thoughts about it and then dive in, I'm not going to touch on like story spoilers. I probably won't even talk about like the last chapter at all. So you're pretty safe there. I'm gonna leave out a lot of the most exciting parts and just kind of focus on the overall vibe. So I'm a massive Sea of Thieves fan. Like, my tattoo should prove it. Like, look at this. Still psyched as heck about this tattoo. It's just banging. Massive Sea of Thieves fan. Been there since pretty much the beginning. I actually went to Rare Studios and gave them feedback on stuff. Minolta and I went there, and pretty dang early in development. And yeah, so cool. So it's been very close to my heart for a long time, and it's a game I always wanted. Obviously it's had a few rough patches here and there, and there wasn't really enough content at launch to sustain an active community, but boy, did they keep working on it and just make something brilliant. I've logged so many hours in this game. One of my most played Xbox games of all time, honestly, at this point. Like, seriously, like, I've just had so many like 10-hour nights where we just one more thing, we couldn't stop playing. We're in this crazy PvEVP adventure, and now we have this amazing update. I haven't played in a few months since the Battle Pass stuff came out. It's not enough to pull me back in. I kind of burnt myself out on it, and there's just a lot of games I want to play right now, and I've been busy. You know how it is. And then this was like, other than Halo, of course, this was the thing that just made me lose my mind when they reveal it. So when you start a game in Sea of Thieves, you start at an outpost. There's a bunch of outposts around the map. There is now a new person who set up shop, this mysterious figure, which is where you start your missions. You sit around a campfire and let her weave you this tale. And there's just a fair amount of exposition in this. Like, it feels like more than Sea of Thieves has ever had in terms of characters talking is in this update. I think that's honestly safe to say. They sometimes go on and on and on, but like, I love it. Like, it's great. It's well acted. I love what Rare do for animations, and some of their special effects with characters is so cool. You're just enthralled in these stories they're telling. And like, I like Pirates of the Caribbean. It's been a long time since I've seen the movies. I don't even think I've seen all of them. 1, 2, 3, maybe. But who doesn't love Pirates of the Caribbean 1? So like, you don't need to be a fan of that to really get a kick out of this. But if you're not, also what? Pirates of the Caribbean is great. So like other Tall Tales, if you haven't played Sea of Thieves in a while, Tall Tales are like the single player adventure, and also there's just so much content there now that just go back and play them all. Like, there's so much, it's just awesome. It's what I love about Sea of Thieves, is being able to go on that kind of adventure, like not this like open world emergent gameplay, which is fantastic and is what makes Sea of Thieves so great to me, but also these guided storytelling puzzle adventures where you're following compasses and like you're reading from books and trying to figure out where to go and stuff like that. However, this is a very guided experience, and it's kind of different than what Sea of Thieves usually is. Sea of Thieves is usually, again, about that emergent gameplay, about kind of options and randomization and crazy things happening. A pirate's life has you on just a journey. It's a magical mystery ride. There are multiple instances of that like tunnel from Willy Wonka where there's just bright flashing lights around you and you're just like, this is fun. We're literally going down a crazy waterfall hole thing. So when you start the game, you set off, you go through this portal in your ship, and you just get this like, just these amazing scenes. Amazing scenery, amazing scenes. You're hearing lore. You're just seeing some incredible sights that you're just like in awe of, right? The amount of times I had my HUD off, honestly, the majority of this, I had my HUD off because I didn't want to see my teammates' names, which by the way, do go in with friends. This is just, Sea of Thieves as a whole is just better with friends. If you don't have any friends, I guess go in, but like find a friend. This game is on Game Pass. Like it's just awesome. Download it, get some buddies, play this. But we went in with three of our long-term Sea of Thieves buddies, and I got the DLC pack for the costume, so I was playing as Captain Jack Sparrow. Jack Sparrow features prominently throughout this as well. A lot of other recognizable characters too. And there are a few points where like they'll utter a line that like you really recognize, and everyone's just like, yeah, they said it. They said the line.
You'd best start believing in ghost stories. You're in one.
This is a gorgeous, lore-rich, long experience. It took us 2 nights to beat this. We could have crushed through in 1 night, but after like the 3rd chapter, we're like, we should probably take a break. It's been many hours. It's getting really late. Let's just finish this tomorrow when we're bright. And so like that's awesome. There's a lot of free content here that's just enjoyable. So a lot of this has you like chasing after Jack Sparrow.
That's Captain Jack Sparrow, mate.
Helping out these characters in the world. And whenever there's this real crossover event happening, it's seeing Jack Sparrow and these familiar Pirates of the Caribbean characters talk about the Sea of Thieves and seeing Sea of Thieves characters interact with Pirates of the Caribbean characters. It's awesome. It's really, really, really cool. Like there's something about it that's just so magical to hear Captain Jack Sparrow utter Sea of Thieves. Or like, oh man, that's wicked. That's so cool.
Standing at the helm of the Pearl as we made our escape. Suddenly, there was a loud, booming, cannonballing sort of noise. A cannonball, perhaps.
Stay where you are!
That happens.
You, from the living world. Why have you interfered with my work?
A few key words for what this DLC update entails. Caves, underwater, new enemies, gorgeous environments, puzzles, parkour, boss fights. That's a pretty good summary. All of which are great, right? These incredible environments. The underwater stuff is awesome. It's what I've wanted from Sea of Thieves forever. Like there's like 2 areas or so in the normal Sea of Thieves that are these gorgeous underwater ruin kind of areas that I've always wanted to do more with. And they never really did. You go there like once during a tall tale. I wished there was just more underwater reefs, underwater enemies. Like there's sharks. Sharks will get you, right? And that's it. But now there are mermen. The mermen come after you. I've been wanting enemy mermaids since this game was revealed. I'm so excited to have it. And you get to use their scepter, their trident thing that has a 3 times charge. The longer you hold it, the longer it charges, and then you release and it fires like a giant explosive bubble, which is awesome. It's so fun to use. It's every time you see it, you're like, oh, you don't want to use any other weapon. You just want to fire that thing everywhere. It's super fun. And all this stuff will appear in the normal Sea of Thieves now. You'll see the new enemies, which are the mermen. You'll see giant crab dudes who buff all their teammates and give them shields. There are these electricity guys who like whip you with electricity and they zip around really fast. And there's these clam guys that like spray acid clouds around them. So like it went from like sharks and skeletons to like a lot of new enemies, which is finally, right? Like what this update did for their overall game is just awesome. Just awesome. Really excited about it. All of these missions that you go into also have a bunch of secrets. You can find journals on all of them. If you played the Tall Tales, there's journals to find, which give you a bunch of lore. Maybe there's like a dead character with a journal beside him. You can read what happened to them and stuff like that. Or like Captain Jack's journals and things like that. But there's also like 1 or 2 secrets on each mission that will task you with, for instance, finding an item and bringing it somewhere else. And we missed almost all of them. We got 1 or 2, I think. And then in hindsight, as we kept going, we started realizing, we're like, oh, these are all things. These are things to do. We're finding these keys and these items. Like, where the heck did these go? And it's a complete side journey. The whole experience is very clearly meant for an inexperienced player, which is good. It makes sense, right? People hopping on only for this thing. Maybe it's their first time ever playing Sea of Thieves and they want to go through this. That's fine. It works. There are a lot of parkour segments, which are very easy. And so we always kind of overestimated them and would fall because we were trying to jump too far. Or like there were parts where we solved puzzles doing just bonkers, high experience parkour, sword lunge jump strats. And then realized that, no, this was actually way easier. We're way overthinking this. So anytime we got stumped in a puzzle, was because we were just overthinking it. We're like, it's never as hard as you think it is. We were doing crazy cannon jumps and like, never that difficult at all, but it's still fun. Like, it's still a great time. You have these, kill boxes where you'll enter a typical arena and a bunch of enemies will spawn and, Captain Jack will be talking to you and you're fighting people. Ghosts as well. You'll be fighting ghosts, which we were laughing about as you're like slashing through a ghost. We're like, this doesn't make sense. How am I doing this? This is a ghost. And they also appear out in the environment now, which is cool to see, kind of spooky. So all of these gorgeous environments every time, from amazing caves with like waterfalls and flora, underwater segments, obviously something I love, seeing these beautiful underwater arenas, even like cities, like fortresses that you land on, having really awesomely fleshed out areas that are honestly actually right out of the Disneyland ride. There's a part that's kind of like a little side mission area that you can just, as you're exploring this like surprisingly large city, you can take a rowboat through an area that is literally ripped right from the Disneyland ride. And we're all like, oh crap, I recognize this.
Don't you boy! We want to
Boss fights too, like almost every one end in a really cool boss fight. I'm trying to think if they all do. Maybe. A lot of boss fights, but they're really fun boss fights. There are some that weren't as obvious that we were even progressing on the boss, but there were some fun boss fights. We very much enjoyed the battles. Honestly, they were just a lot of fun. Like, you're in these gorgeous new areas with new weapons and new enemies to fight, and having all these characters talking to you more than you've ever really heard in the game before. It's a treat. My HUD was not on. I was just like, I just wanted to experience the beauty, the absolute beauty of this entire guided experience. And I hope this is what Sea of Thieves does moving forward. I hope these have these big guided experiences. Like, what are they going to do to bring new players in at this point? If you haven't played Sea of Thieves yet, I don't know if you're gonna, but maybe now, because this is something that's fresh and different. Despite realistically, there is a lot of content to play in Sea of Thieves now, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. This update, just great. Just had a blast admiring everything, messing around with my teammates. So I highly recommend it. I think it's worth it. Picking it up on Game Pass, especially on PC. Ooh, this game is it's gorgeous as it is. Also runs amazing on a Series X, but on PC, that one notch above visuals, and like even on Max, it like brings my PC to a halt, kind of. Like, you can make this game absolutely gorgeous, and it's never been a better time than the environments in this update for seeing it in very, very high quality. Because oh boy. Find a friend, or 2, or 3, hop on in, listen to the storyteller, start a mission, go on a crazy adventure that'll be way longer than you expect with an immense amount of content. 10 out of 10. Very much enjoyed it, and I'm psyched to see what they do moving forward with the future of Sea of Thieves. Thank you for watching. See you next video.
That's Captain Jack Sparrow, mate.